Okay, so this is technology at work here. I just got off the Skype with y'all, and I'm driving to work in my car, and I'm doing these YouTube videos. So the question I have about the second lesson is this idea of, you know, this idea of good, and I call this perfect versus good. And the thing is, I'm wondering, you know, in other discussions. Um, I've had this argument or this debate with people about uh, perfect versus good. And there's a saying that I use that says the perfect is the enemy of the good. And I don't want that to be in contradiction to the word, you know, but I want to talk about it and see if maybe, see what y'all think about this. Ali said that people have a tendency to call nice people good people. And it seemed like in the discussion that we were having, good really meant, uh, spiritually or morally or in comparison to God, are we good? And of course, the answer to that is no. But the way I've always used good in the past, when I say that perfect is the enemy of the good, uh, is more in the way that Allie means when she says nice. So in my past discussions on this topic, I have used perfect to mean what it seems like we were uh, using the word good to describe in our conversations, and I've used good to describe what we were talking about as nice. See what I'm saying? So I've always thought of perfect as the good that we were talking about in our lesson tonight, and I've always thought about good as something like what we would call nice in the lesson that we talked about tonight. And so this whole thing, imperfect versus good, has a huge, implications. And just politically, for example, and in social structure, if people are basically good, and in our discussion that would mean nice, um, then that means that, for example, the poor and the needy will very often be taken care of through private charity, because people's good hearts will see them and their condition and will reach out to them and help their fellow man. But um, if man is not good at all, or in our conversation, this would be if man is unnice to his fellow man, then it is the job of a third party, like the state, to care for the poor, for the impoverished, for the needy, for the disadvantaged, through programs like social welfare programs, okay? So I guess where I'm getting hung up is the meaning of good. If we mean good in a totally perfect sense, as good in the eyes of God compared to His holiness, of course you would say that nobody is good. Uh, but if we mean good as in, uh, good-hearted or good-spirited or, nice or caring, uh, I do think people are nice and caring. And that's why I was asking Josiah, where does this nice and caring and what I would have previously called good, where does this niceness and this caring, this good-heartedness and goodwill come from? Because we definitely see it in people, and people that aren't Christians. Uh, Donald Trump has a kind heart. He gives to uh, charities. I saw a deal where he was donating money to pediatric AIDS foundations. And people that tell you they are an atheist, they have some, you know, admirable qualities about their personality. They're giving, they're generous, they're kind, you know, they're patient, whatever it may be. They have certain qualities that I heretofore would have called good. So that's not really a very succinct question, but it's more or less my thoughts on this issue of perfect versus good. And I think in the past, I've used the word perfect to describe the condition of, that we talk about good. And I would say, humans are good, but they're imperfect. If we mean, imperfection as far as our moral core being in line with God's goodness, I'd say we're all, imperfect. And I think it is at the core, like Josiah said, at the very core. 90% of us, or 90% of our being can be, good or nice, but I think our core is faulty. We're imperfect. So I've used this imperfect versus good analogy a lot, and it seems to line up with a lot of things that I think are true. And so I'm wondering, does it line up with Scripture? If we mean imperfect, what I've previously called imperfect, if it's, equated with good in the conversation that we had tonight, and if I use the word good and equate it with something like niceness or caring or kind-hearted, then is it fair to say that we're good but we're imperfect, just as tonight we may have said that we were nice and kind-hearted but we're not good? Is it the same thing?